continuing now in my Saturday Superlative series, looking back, obviously, at Saturday, Friday, and other championship week games that were played on this Sunday morning. And despite the number of games, and it was a small slate of games that were played, I have a lot of tight end and wide receivers. This is going to be a terrific group of tight ends and wide receivers. If you need a tight end or wide receiver in this upcoming draft, and of course some of these guys aren't even draft eligible, but this is a lot of talent to be had. I'm going to start with one of the lesser known guys, Trey Shropshire at UAB. And he's, once again, so those long strider, long armed, big strong hands. Doesn't look like a freak athlete, but he looks like he can get it done against a smaller corner, and showed some good body control. He had, like I said, good day at the office. 5 catches, 180 yards, and a touchdown. And I'm going to shout out a tight end, Jaylen Weidermeyer at Texas A&M. He isn't one of those guys like Kyle Pitts, who is like a just freak athlete and built like a supersized wide receiver. He's a genuine, real old school tight end, inline Y type, but he also showed really good hands. He can run good routes. And another feel old moment for me, the former quarterback turned coach, T. Martin, who won a national championship at Tennessee, has a son named Amari Rogers who has battled through, one, just being sort of lost in the sauce at one point, was a special teams guy at Clemson because they have so much talent at wide receiver, and then started to emerge and then blew out a knee, and now he's come, looks like pretty much all the way back from that. And he's a guy who's probably going to fight his way into the 3rd, 4th round conversation probably. Maybe a slot receiver type at the next level. But 8 catches, 124 yards and a touchdown. And he showed off, like I said, that the knee is back. He showed acceleration. Stanford, speaking of guys, Stanford is not exactly a dynamic passing offense, but Simi Fehoko, player of the game to me. Player of the game in the game with UCLA. And he had 16 catches for 230 yards, 3 touchdowns, and set school records. And, he's a big-bodied guy. Some people might want to try to put another 20 pounds on him and make him into a tight end. I think he can probably stay a sort of Arciaga Whiteside, but probably more effective type of big-bodied receiver at the next level. But, once again, he was just utterly dominant. Northwestern also does not have a great passing offense, but I have to mention Ramad Chiokeo Bowman, who had 8 catches and 103 yards and was doing this against, top-level competition, even though they were missing some guys. The guys who are behind the guys are all 4 and 5 stars, so these are still 2 and 3 stars fighting 4 and 5 stars, even when Ohio State has backups in there. And he impressed me. This is, I think, the second time I've had him on this series, and he's got a future. I have to mention Trevor Wilson. Buffalo obviously is mostly known for their passing attack. Not known for the passing attack. Mostly known for their rushing attack with Kevin Marks and Jarrett Patterson. But kudos to Trevor Wilson. He had 6 catches for 118 yards and a touchdown, and at times looked uncoverable. And Iowa State has an up and down passing attack, but when they're able to establish the run, they can then pass the ball, and they have some talent. I mean, obviously everyone knows about their tight ends, Kohler and Allen and the other one, but it'll come back to me. But I will mention one of the wide receivers, Xavier Hutchinson, had a really good game, 10 catches, 114 yards. And getting back to tight ends, Greg Dulcich at UCLA had a really good game as well. Not a lot of volume, but his 2 catches resulted in 2 touchdowns, so you can't do much better than that. Only 38 yards, but he's clearly extremely talented and just a sophomore. Getting back to receivers, Penn State, I mentioned obviously Sean Clifford had his best day at the office, and a big part of that was Jahaan Dotson, who is a terrific talent. And once again, if it weren't such a crazy deep class, I mean, the only reason that I'm not mentioning Tyrese Freifogel is that Indiana didn't play. But Dotson, I think I mentioned him back when they played Maryland, and he was the best player on the field in that game on offense. 6 catches, 189 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And once again, acceleration. He looked like a sub 4.4 guy, or at least a low 4.4 guy. We'll see what happens when his time comes to test. I made mention of my draft crush, Desmond Ritter. His favorite target is Alec Pierce, And once again, when people see him, the Jordy Nelson and whatever comparisons, but he's a guy who's got a little more speed than you might guess, good size, and tremendous hands and tremendous body control. Sometimes he lands awkwardly. He kind of got you sort of worried about him getting hurt because he doesn't seem to care about his body really at all. He goes for the ball and thinking about nothing else, but I really like him. I mentioned Iowa State's receiver. I mentioned their tight end, Charlie Kolar. They have a bunch of tight ends, but the best of them to me is Kolar, and he had 6 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown. And before I close it out, I want to mention Marvin Sims. Marvin Sims, OU had a bounce back game. I don't know if you call it a bounce back game, but they established that they looked like Oklahoma again, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But he had 7 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown, and he has, like I said, I think a pretty bright future ahead as well. Those are my pass receiver, tight end, and wide receiver Saturday superlatives.